life in Spencer, Oklahoma, and at Star Elementary would change forever. For at 13 minutes after 12 noon, the building housing the cafeteria blew up. The explosion occurred on the kitchen side of the building, blowing debris toward the children, catching some full force with the blast. What started as a perfectly normal day at Star Elementary School was, in one horrible moment, transformed into a scene of total destruction and death. Rescue and medical units from throughout the city responded quickly, treating injured at the scene and rushing them to area hospitals. By that afternoon, the figures were in: 7 dead and 36 injured, with more than half of those in critical condition. The scene created on that day was horrible, but the real tragedy was the fact that the disaster at Star Elementary School could have been prevented. The explosion was caused by something that all of us have and are near every day of our lives. It is something so completely normal that we take its safety for granted. What exploded that day was the hot water heater in the school's cafeteria, and it produced a force great enough to destroy a building and kill and injure those within its reach. Just a normal water heater, but one that, because of poor maintenance and faulty parts, became a disaster just waiting to happen. You see, what happened to be a normal school morning was not a normal day at all. At 7 a.m., the workers began arriving at the school. One was Mrs. West, a building custodian. Another worker, Mr. Smith, arrived a few minutes later. Immediately, a problem was noted with the temperature of the kitchen water. At 7:13, Mrs. West discovered something definitely wrong with the water heater. Mr. Smith checked the system, shut it down, and told Mrs. West to call maintenance. At 7:49, maintenance arrived at the school. After checking the heater, the technician discovered a faulty gas valve and returned to the shop to get a replacement. At 11:04, he returned and replaced the valve with the only existing replacement part, a used valve that had been sitting on the shelf for an undetermined amount of time. He relit the burners and left for lunch. Another check of the unit was made at 11:25. Nothing was found to be wrong, but unknown to the maintenance man were the following facts. The replacement valve, which monitored and controlled the temperature of the water, was also faulty. So was the temperature pressure relief valve, which, if it had worked properly, would have allowed excess pressure to escape when the water temperature reached the danger point. But this valve was not functioning, and as the water got hotter, pressure and temperature began to build to intolerable levels. At 11:30, someone in the building called maintenance to report more problems. Maintenance never returned the call. At 11:59, another group of children entered the cafeteria, and as they sat and talked and ate their lunch, the temperature inside the water heater passed 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and at 12:13, the world as they knew it ceased to exist. Today, most states have laws governing the inspection of hot water heaters, but there are so many of them. Remember, water heaters are everywhere: in churches, in motels, in places of recreation, in homes, and in office buildings. Water heaters are everywhere and are part of our everyday lives. Most water heaters are safe and dependable, but safety only comes from regular maintenance and inspections. According to the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, the major causes of accidents related to automatically fired boilers and water heaters are: 1, lack of proper controls and safety devices; 2, lack of proper maintenance; 3, improperly trained maintenance personnel; and 4, failure to inspect units on a regular basis. In the case of the Star Elementary School heater, all 4 causes contributed to the fatal explosion. Lack of blowdowns created a buildup of sediment, which allowed temperatures at the bottom of the tank to reach nearly 1,000 degrees. Improper adjustments have been made to the temperature control. The temperature pressure relief valve had been altered. There was a lack of experienced repairmen, and replacement parts had been improperly stored. But more than anything else, there had been a lack of routine inspection. Regular safety checks by qualified technicians would probably have prevented the accident, and no one would have been exposed to the impending catastrophe. Regular inspections and maintenance cannot be overly stressed. A malfunctioning water heater can create pressure capable of unbelievable proportions. This field test shows the power of an explosion resulting from pressure built to intolerable limits. Imagine the results had this unit had exploded inside a home. Bigger units can destroy buildings the size of a school, and the largest boilers are capable of pressures which can level buildings the size of this one. State agencies are doing all they can to make sure accidents such as the one in Oklahoma never happen again. But every day, reports from across the nation tell of personal injury, property damage, and loss of life, all attributed to water heaters that have been poorly maintained. If you are responsible for the water heater in your building, whether it be a home or public facility, it is imperative that regular inspections be made to ensure the safety of life and property. Whether you're an administrator of a school, a nursing home, a hospital, or a business or homeowner, if you are responsible for any building that has people and hot water heaters, you must be aware of the danger potential that exists and ensure that your heater has the necessary maintenance and receives routine safety checks by qualified inspectors. You must demand that all work performed on your equipment be done by trained, experienced personnel, and be sure to contact your jurisdiction authority for any problems or questions concerning the safety of your water heater. Regulatory agencies such as your state's Boiler Inspection Division and the National Board of Boiler Inspectors want all water heaters to be safe and are constantly trying to find better ways to make the public aware of the hidden dangers produced from improperly maintained equipment. Here are some of the basic and most frequently discovered hazards. Drain valves completely capped off, preventing periodic draining of sediment from the tank. SRV discharge lines reduced to 3/4 inches at the 90-degree turn. Combustion air supply vents completely blocked off. Safety valves capped off. Safety valves removed and the opening capped off. Safety valves improperly attached. In this instance, the outlet should be facing down to prevent sediment buildup, something which could render the valve inoperative. Poorly maintained vent piping, creating a fire and carbon monoxide hazard. New heaters stored with such combustible materials as gasoline. Unattached operating gas lines, creating the hazard of fire and explosion. All of these problems present a danger potential that could lead to an explosion. But of all these problems, none are more important than those dealing with the temperature pressure relief valve. And an operative safety relief valve is an open invitation to disaster. Inspectors have even discovered cases where part of the valve had been removed, probably to facilitate easy installation, but nonetheless rendering the valve completely inoperative and dangerous. Whether you are a water heater owner or inspector, you must remember that reinspection of temperature and pressure relief valves at periodic intervals is vital to the safety and proper maintenance of the units. Every relief valve has a test lever. During inspection, the lever should be manually lifted to ensure free water flow and absence of corrosion. Valve installation is very important. It must be immersed in tank water and located in the top 6 inches of the tank to accurately sense the water temperature. Every temperature and pressure relief valve should have a nameplate attached, which should include the pressure setting, the AGA rating, the type number, and the dating code. And valves over 3 years old, based on the dating code, should be removed and visually inspected for accumulations of corrosion deposits, and to ensure the part has not been altered or improperly repaired. If so, the valve should be replaced. The tragic explosion at Star Elementary School in Spencer, Oklahoma, emphasizes the seriousness of a malfunctioning water heater. The simple application of the rule, prevention is better than cure, is the key to the answer in protecting against such hazards.